History loves drawing border lines, and sometimes it does it right across an existing country. These lines can be drawn with gentle strokes, other times chopped with an erratic chainsaw. Today we're talking about countries that used to be one but got split in two, and which made that split obvious by adding coordinates like north, south, west, or east to their names. From the jungles of Vietnam to the deserts of the Arabian Peninsula, these are the most famous nations that lived a double life. We start on the Korean Peninsula, home to perhaps the most famous split in the modern world. This bipolar situation is an aftermath of World War II. Before the war, Korea was unified, though under Japanese control since 1910. When Japan was defeated in 1940, it was decided that the Korea will be divided along the 38th parallel. The plan was to reunify the country eventually, but the Cold War got in the way, and neither side wanted the other running the whole peninsula. By 950, tensions boiled over and North Korean forces invaded the south. The Korean War began, with South Korea backed by the US and North supported by China and Soviets. The front lines moved back and forth like a roller coaster on double speed. The northern capital, Pyongyang, switched control twice, while Seoul in the south changed hands 4 times in less than 1 year. After 3 bloody years, the war ended, however not with peace, but just with an armistice. So technically, in 2025, the two Koreas are still at war. The border between them was adjusted to match the last battle lines, still roughly along the 38th parallel, but not in a straight line anymore. The demilitarized zone between two countries is the most heavily fortified border on Earth, guarded by thousands of soldiers. And also some kamikaze birdwatchers spotting rare species living in the no-man's land. Since the split, the two Koreas have gone in very different directions. The North is a secretive, totalitarian state with a struggling economy but with nuclear weapons. In the meantime, the South is a thriving democracy and tech powerhouse, one of the Asian tigers. Is there any hope of reunification? Well, it's not looking likely anytime soon. For now, it's one peninsula and 2 worlds, one with tech, the other with nukes. And a heavily guarded border preventing any K-pop band from a reunion tour. Next stop, Europe, the Cold War's favorite playground. After the Second World War, the Allies split Germany into 4 occupation zones. Unlike Korea, the borders between them weren't ruler straight. They often followed old state lines from the 19th century. In 949, the 3 Western zones merged into the West Germany, while the Soviet zone became the East Germany. The Western side boomed thanks to capitalism and free market, while East Germany endured a struggling economy and Soviet authority. By the late 1980s, cracks started to show in the Eastern Bloc. Political shifts led to the fall of the Berlin Wall and Germany's reunification in 1990. But even today, more than 30 years later, there's still a visible East-West division in the country, a proof that history doesn't vanish overnight. But hey, at least now everyone can agree on one thing. Berlin's rents are ridiculous, no matter which side of the wall you're on. More on Berlin's curious past in our episode on internationally governed cities. Check the link in the description. We are back to Asia, where Vietnam's North-South split was part colonial hangover, part Cold War rivalry. It all started with the French who ruled Vietnam, along with neighboring Laos and Cambodia from the mid-19th century. In the 1950s, French rule collapsed after Vietnamese communist forces, led by the comrade Ho Chi Minh, broke the Les Baguettes forces. But before the communists could unite the whole country under their rule, the 1954 Geneva Accords ended the war with France. The agreement divided the country along the 17th parallel between communist North Vietnam and anti-communist South Vietnam. National elections to reunify the country were planned for 1956, but they never happened. Instead, Cold War tensions escalated into the infamous Vietnam War. In 1965, the U.S. directly intervened to prevent a communist takeover of the South by the militarily superior North. The war was brutal, marked by atrocities, and caused a shocking estimated 3.8 million deaths across all sides. In 1975, North Vietnamese forces prevailed and captured Saigon, reuniting the country under communist rule. Today, Vietnam is one nation, but traces of the old divide remain in language, culture, and cuisine. They don't shoot at each other anymore, but still can get physical when arguing over which side makes better spring rolls. Now to a lesser-known but equally fascinating North-South split in Asia. We're going to Yemen, which used to be divided into two parts for a couple of decades. North Yemen appeared on the map in 1918 after the fall of the Ottoman Empire, while South Yemen got independent from British in 1967. Relations between the two Yemens were mostly cordial, although they fought brief military conflicts in the 70s. In 1990, the two united as the Republic of Yemen, mainly for economic reasons. But unity didn't serve the nation well. A civil war erupted in 1994 and again in 2014. Yemen has been locked in a devastating conflict, with the old divisions still shaping alliances. The marriage of both Yemens after years of separation could be a romantic comedy plot, except with fewer kisses and more airstrikes. Not far from Yemen, on the other shore of the Red Sea, lies Sudan, once Africa's largest country. In 2011, after decades of civil war, it split into Sudan and South Sudan. The conflict was driven by ethnic and religious divides, with the mostly Muslim Arab North versus the largely Christian and Black African South. There was an economic aspect to it as well. Most of the oil reserves were in the south, but the profits remained in the north. In a 2005 referendum, nearly 100% of South Sudanese voted for independence. But the peace didn't last long. Both Sudans soon plunged into another civil war, sparking a huge refugee crisis. Tensions between the two nations remain high over the oil-rich Abyei region, which both countries still dispute. Well, if only they could settle it with a dance-off instead of a standoff. Oh, and if you wonder which country is now Africa's biggest after Sudan's split, it's Algeria. Let's spin the globe and move to the southeastern corner of Europe. The island of Cyprus has been split between the Republic of Cyprus and the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. This division dates back to 1974, when the Turkey invaded the island, fearing it would reunite with Greece. Turkish forces took control of almost 40% of the country, giving birth to the Northern Cyprus, a state recognized only by Turkey. Today, the buffer zone still cuts through the capital city, Nicosia, making it the last divided capital in Europe. Despite numerous talks and hopeful rumors of reunification, the stalemate continues. Cyprus's drama has more plot twists than a Greek tragedy, and the ending's still a mystery. Now off to the other end of Europe, where we find another divided island. In 921, the island of Ireland was officially partitioned. The southern part became the independent Republic of Ireland, and the northern 6 counties remained part of the United Kingdom as Northern Ireland. This division was driven by a tangled mix of politics, religion, and national identity. The Catholic South sought independence, while the mainly Protestant North wanted to maintain ties with Britain. These deep-rooted differences eventually exploded into a violent conflict known as the Troubles. It was a period marked by bombings and civil unrest that lasted until the late 1990s. A Good Friday Agreement from 1998 was a landmark peace deal that ended the violence, creating hope for lasting peace. However, the political landscape remains delicate. The UK's exit from the European Union has complicated the question of borders, raising fears about how it may affect relations between Northern Ireland and the Republic. Hopefully, the lads on both sides can settle their disputes over a glass of whiskey and a hearty potato meal. Bonus interesting fact, the northernmost point of the Republic of Ireland is actually further north than Northern Ireland itself. Geography loves a good plot twist. All right, here come a few other countries separated by cardinal directions that didn't quite make it to the main list. First up, the Roman Empire, the granddaddy of all split countries. It was divided in 395 CE into East and West, mainly for administrative reasons. However, its people still saw it as one empire, without an official separation. The West fell to barbarian invasions in 476 CE. But the eastern part, aka the Byzantine Empire, lasted another 1,000 years until the Ottoman conquest in 1453. If you're into Turkish history, be sure to check out our episode, Ottoman Sultans. Killers in the Golden Cage, linked in the description. Another interesting edge case, East and West Pakistan. They weren't countries of their own, just two halves of Pakistan in long-distance relationship kept apart by India. East Pakistan gained independence from its western twin as Bangladesh in 1971. We'll top the list off with the US and its temporary separation during the Civil War fought from 1861 to 1865. There were two sides in that conflict, the Union, often called the North, and the Confederacy, nicknamed the South. Sorry, Dixies, but the North prevailed. Y'all better calm down and stick to the moonshine. Borders across once united countries aren't just lines on a map. Sometimes they are like scars of old wounds that can reopen at any moment. Once a United States splits, stitching it back together may be a very difficult job. So when you hear North or West in a country's name, chances are it's got some historic drama to tell. Thanks for watching this episode of Compendium Trivia. As always, feel welcome to like, subscribe, and turn the notification bell on. We've got more mysteries from around the world coming soon. Let us know which one you would like us to cover next.